Okay.
Coming up. First bun, then patty, followed by ketchup, mustard, pickles, extra onions, lettuce, cheese, tomatoes, and fun. In that order. One crying Johnny.
Whatever.
Yum, yum, yum. Let's find out how we can make that healthier. And I think I will be joined, or I believe I will be joined by Amina Dindar, who is a nutritional expert who is bringing some food for thought on our table. And I think today we're just about a day away from International Burger Day. And with it, the temptation to indulge in these juicy patties is there and forever there, especially when we have our cravings. So I think the biggest question we want to find out from Amina is there a thing called a healthy burger? Amina, assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah so much for joining us this evening.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and thank you so much for having me.
Now, we're seeing with the burger, there's bread, there's one strip of salad, one sliced tomato, which, I mean, it counts as healthy, right? But looking at a typical burger, how do we then stack it up in a way that it meets the necessary nutrient requirements?
You know, it's so true what you're saying. The minute we hear the word burger, we think, oh no, that's not good for me. That's not fitting in my diet. But if you think about a typical burger, it already includes the three most important components, our three macronutrients. So it includes our protein from our beef or chicken patty. The carbohydrates comes from our bun. And sometimes there's a bit of vegetables, the lettuce, tomato, onion. However, often the quality and the quantity of these are not enough. So most burgers are often using white buns that are low in fiber. It can cause a big blood sugar spike. So just switching to a whole grain bun adds that fiber. The protein source is also key. So opting for something like a grilled chicken burger using or opting for a lean beef patty can reduce the amount of saturated fat, the amount of calories, while it's still being satisfying. And then there's the veggie content, which is often, like I said, very minimal. So just to upgrade your burger, focus on adding more grilled vegetables, more fresh vegetables, like grilled peppers, mushrooms, baby spinach, and now and then add in a bit of avocado for that healthy fat component. And yes, just with a few tweaks, a burger can be part of a healthy, well-balanced meal.
Now, with that being said, I think one thing when we think of burgers, we associate it not just only with the status of junk, but also convenience because we're having these rush hour schedules, rushing from work, rushing from school, having to go to your next appointment or commitment in that sense. And now it's like you're hungry and these takeout spots are just everywhere. And I think the idea of just going in there waiting for your burger is something that really speaks to the idea of convenience. But I'd like to say being served because you don't have to cook the burger yourself or prepare the burger yourself. With that being said, is there a way of making, healthier homemade burgers convenient? Because we know with homemade burgers, it's all taking about the mince, putting spices, frying it or grilling it, however way you like it, and cutting and chopping and all that stuff. So is there a way of making healthier homemade burgers convenient?
Most definitely. And I think that's so important. And it's such a big part of healthy eating, that big misconception. Oh, it's going to take too much of time. I don't have the time. My work week is just too hectic. But I think the biggest thing is meal prepping. We need to make sure that we're prepping for the week ahead. So, if you know that, okay, this week, Wednesday is my burger day, just with a little bit of prep, homemade burgers can be much healthier and more convenient in the long run. One great tip is to batch prepping burger patties. So if you have a free weekend and burgers are on the menu for the week coming, make a larger batch. You keep out the ones that you're going to use for the week ahead, and the next it's so easy to freeze it. You can do your lean beef, you can do chicken, even if you're doing a bit of veggie patties, that can also work really nicely. Freeze them. In this way, you can cook a nutritious burger in minutes when you're short on time. Pre-slicing a bit of your veggies are also really important. So, doing a bit of, like I said, the meal prepping on the weekends, even for your veggie items, putting it in airtight containers. Things like whole wheat buns and whole wheat pitas actually freeze really nicely. So if you buy them also in bulk and freezing them in individual sort of buns in a little packet or wrapped up, it's so easy. You take them out of the freezer. You can pop them in the toaster for a minute or two just to defrost quickly. You can leave it on the counter while you're getting the rest of your ingredients ready. It also works really nicely. Another great tip, and I just something quickly I thought about is, you know, doing a bit of burger bowls. We're so caught up on the tradition that my burger needs to be within 2 layers of a bun, but ditch the bun. Layer your patty with some roasted vegetables, add a bit of a carb like a roasted like roasted wedges, roasted sweet potato, whole wheat couscous, add in some sauce, add in some grilled vegetables, and you have like a quick, easy burger bowl.
I don't know if you've noticed this trend going on social media where they ditching the bun, but instead of having your whole wheat buns and so forth, they're actually having an onion as in place of the bun itself. What's your take on that? Is it healthy or is just trying new things?
I think it's just the whole concept around ditching carbs. And like in one of the pictures also showing is that there's also the lettuce wrap. So there's so many tweaks around, healthier eating. And ditching the bun can be an option if you're looking for something that is lower in carbs. You're struggling with high sugar levels, high insulin, and you need to reduce the amount of carbs. But generally, most of us, the healthier population, we do need a bit of carbs. Carbs gives us energy. And I think just making the right choices around carbs is so important in terms of what types of carbs you're choosing, what is your portion like. And for those of us that want to ditch out the carbs and reduce our carb intake, using that veggie as an alternative for the bun can actually work really nicely.
Now,
As long as you're enjoying it and you're not eating it just because you're trying to lose a bit of weight, I think meals are so important to be enjoyable.
I think this conversation has really, inspired a thought in my mind where I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna make a bun using pap, like literally using pap and a patty and a tomato and so forth, and see how they taste. But just coming back to the patties, I mean, earlier on you mentioned the conversation around, veggie patties, and I would like to understand from you. You look at your traditional beef burgers, and then you compare it with that of veggie burgers, and I think placing focus on those veggie burgers, what would you say are some of the benefits or drawbacks from that, especially veggie patties that are, bought from, your retail stores and so forth?
Definitely. Veggie burgers are actually such a good option for anyone trying to reduce their intake of red meat or saturated fats. And they offer such a great opportunity to include more fiber. We also don't understand or we underestimate the importance of plant based proteins in our diet. And veggie burgers are often made with lentils, black beans, mushrooms, oats, sometimes even quinoa. And all of these items are so rich in iron, they're rich in magnesium, in our antioxidants. But like you mentioned, on the downside is that most of the time our veggie burgers are often highly processed. They contain fillers, sodium, preservatives, and sometimes even artificial flavors because they want to sort of mimic the taste of meat. So my advice always when choosing veggie burgers, especially if you're buying veggie patties from the store, is look at the ingredients list. And this is so important for like literally everything that we're buying in the stores. Look for options that have more legumes that are made from whole grains, especially if these are listed first. And avoid those that are packed with additives and often, ingredients that you look at and you're like, but what is this? I don't understand this. I can't pronounce that. Try and avoid items that have those type of ingredients listed. And if you make your own veggie burger, that's even better. That way, you know exactly what's going in. Such a great opportunity to include more variety and plant diversity into your meals.
Now, just for us to clarify for viewers who probably join the end of what you were explaining in terms of, veggie burgers and they miss the idea of how you can make your beef burger healthy. in those conversations, is there an option of a healthier burger fast food option that one would want to opt for, or that you would like to recommend to our viewers at home? Because now when we're thinking burger, the idea of health or the idea of making it healthy has been so far-fetched. But tonight you really have calmed our thoughts around that and really navigated it into a way that allows us to think beyond seeing it as quite unhealthy. So would you say that there are healthier burger fast food options that we can consider?
It's so interesting because if you looked at 10 years ago, I would have said, oh, not really, make your
Mm-hmm.
own. But nowadays, fast food chains are actually catching up with the demand for healthier options. Some of them offer a grilled chicken patty. They even offer the plant based options, like we were talking about.
Mm.
There's some that actually offer whole grain buns. They offer lettuce wraps or whole wheat wraps to make up your bun for your burger. So instead of the traditional white bun that we all used to. So I think the most important thing is wherever you're choosing to eat, customize your burger. Ask for extra veggies. So often we're telling them, remove the tomato, I don't want the onion. But what we should actually be doing is asking them to add more of the veggies in. Skip the cheese. Tell them you don't want any cheese and skip the sauce. And rather ask them to put the sauce on the side. We don't realize how much of sugar, how much of fat is actually in a sauce.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can control the amount of sauce we're adding onto our burger, so they're going to put the sauce on the side, and then you can decide how much you actually want in it. The sides of a burger actually make a huge difference. And when you think about a burger, whenever you're ordering a burger, what do they ask you? A meal or just a burger? And what do we say?
A
A meal,
meal.
meaning it comes with it comes with fries and obviously a cold drink. So opt for just the burger. And if they have healthier options like a side of salad or hot veg, go for that. And try and avoid the sugary drinks that go for it.
Mm.
Another great idea is build your own burgers. So there's so many places now that give you the option of building your own burger. So you can actually choose what is inside. I think the most important thing is finding that balance. When we think, okay, I'm going to a burger, I'm going to have a burger, our immediate focus is it's my cheat day, so I
Mm.
can do as I please. I can have a double burger, I can have the cheese, I can have the fries. But I think just changing our mindset around that is really important, and trying to look at it as more of a balance as opposed to going all out.
Now, I mean, as we close off our conversation tonight, all things, the diet culture and looking at how, we can eat the food that we like, but also maintaining that healthy aspect about it. In terms of leaving our viewers with something when it comes to what they will be considering in the next order, how would you best advise someone, or what can they prioritize when someone is trying to build that relationship with food and health at the same time?
It's so, I think that's so important. And there's so much of focus now on this diet culture and eating clean. And we've sort of created this narrow minded thinking around
Mm.
food. We label everything as good or bad. And we're leaving so much of extreme restrictions, and we're fostering so much of guilt after eating certain foods. But I think it's so important to maintain a sustainable approach. Food is meant to nourish our body, and that is the most important thing. Before we eat, understand why we're eating. Why are we choosing some foods?
Mm.
Practicing intuitive eating. So listen to your body, which is something we don't do.
Mm.
We eat because, because everyone else is eating. Okay, let me have a snack. We eat because the food is there. We eat for so many other reasons, but we actually need to listen to our body. Am I really hungry? Am I thirsty? What does my body need at this point in time? So, listening to our hunger, listening to our fullness cues, honoring cravings without judgment, and eating for satisfaction, not punishment. Nutrition is so important, but it is also about our mental well being.
Mm.
Enjoying a burger with friends is actually such a healthy part of life. And it's such an important part of nourishing our body, nourishing our soul. So we need to make peace with food. We're more likely to make long term balanced choices rather than swinging between extremes in that way.
Hmm. Sister Amina, Jazakallah so much, for joining us tonight and really, eradicating some of the misconceptions we've had around, the wording of burger and just really empowering us with knowledge and understanding in terms of how we can make it healthier and still enjoy those, burger days without really having to cut it off or eat it with so much guilt in mind. But Jazakallah so much for really sharing that with us.
I mean, it's such a pleasure to be on your show. Jazakallah so much for having me.
Ameen. Jazakallah for honoring our invite. Viewers at home, that was a very interesting, yummy conversation with my guest, Amina Dindar, who is a nutritional expert, sharing in on how you can have those patties, but ensuring that how they serve your body with the necessary nutrients that it needs at the end of the day. But hope you guys jotted it down because unfortunately that's where we have it today when it comes to all things diet culture and International Burger Day. Let's head over to an ad break. See you just after this.